I don't believe it. It's actually live this side now. Unfortunately, I could not make the other stream go live no matter what I did. It didn't seem to want to do it. So apologies. Everything has gone P-tongue this morning for the live streamer, fellas. For whatever reason, that other stream just would not, just sat there looking at me going live, I'm going live any minute. Well, it didn't. So I do not know why that was, because I came in and just made a whole new stream, and it made that in the blink of an eye. It all just started to work as if never happened. So now we are kind of stuck in between two places. Sorry, Andy. I know you're all coming in from somewhere else now. So you had to abandon one stream and get to the other stream in a hurry. And I could see the text, but I could not make it go live. So that was really baffling me. And I'm still not sure what exactly happened there. And now I'm in a totally different screen. I had it all lovely set up for, just working away here and doing its own sort of thing. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll drop it in the chat there the link to our all new shiny Sunday service Facebook page. Is so the link. Oh, it's an error. I'm not allowed to put a link in. Like, that's terrible, isn't it? Isn't it typical? Isn't that typical? Anyway, Gavin and Brian has joined us as well. The rest of the guys, if I may just tell the other guys who are waiting for it to go live somewhere else that it can't possibly go live now, unfortunately, because obviously I can't run two streams at once. I don't know what happened there. It was working perfectly, and then it just seemed, I could see you all text, I could see you all doing your thing. I just couldn't do anything about it. It was just a pain in the ass, but it turned out to be really. I'm going to delete the other streams. The easiest way to do it, I suppose. Make sure one is live, one is deleted, and then we can see the live stream there. Right. Anyway, technical things aside, welcome to the Sunday service. This happens every Sunday right here on our Facebook page, on our YouTube page. But we do have now got a Facebook page called the Sunday Service, which is right here on my little phone. The Sunday Service community, which allows you, and there's been absolutely massive amount of posts, and I think we have 252 members so far. So go over there, find out where it is. There's links and things around the place. Just search for the Sunday Service community on Facebook and you'll find it there. I'm not a big Facebook user, I know, but groups are pretty cool in that people can join, they can talk, and they can do their things, and they can ask questions, they can put up their stuff, their cars and things, and it is a closed group, so you must request membership of the group. Is not an open group, which means it's more kind of able to say what you want to say about cars, or even I can say what I want to say about cars, because no PRs in there either, no car companies, no ads, just kind of cannonball guys, some guys that I know from Facebook themselves, and a few others that have joined along the way, and I check everybody, make sure we're all okay. So it's not crazy, but you can try it. Join in if you want to. If you don't want to, it's fine. Just subscribe here on YouTube. It's okay. But I will be arranging an event through that Facebook page right here in Ireland, where we can all meet up some Sunday and have a lovely little time out, cup of coffee, maybe a burger or something. Who knows? We'll see what we can do. Get them all together. I was away last week testing the Audi Q3. It is under embargo. I can't talk about how it drives. It does look very well. I can talk about the looks of the thing. It looks great. You've all seen pictures of it. The press release came out last June for how it looked. That hasn't changed. So, but the only thing I can't talk about is how it drives, how it goes, the engines and so on, although they have said what engines are available. As a 2-litre petrol, 1.5-litre petrol, a 2-litre diesel, and a couple of different kinds of horsepower, 150, 190, and 230 horsepower. So it's kind of cool. Brian Master says, congratulations on passing 30,000 subs. Well deserved. Best of luck for the channel moving forward. Thank you very much, Brian. That's very good. It's very important that you all come here and subscribe and do your thing. I'd love to hit 40,000 by the time I reach Christmas. Somewhere around there would be really good to get to the 40,000 mark, but it's not essential. I don't do this for subscribers. I do this for the community, for part of being what's out there and everybody being part of it, which is always useful to us. What does Andy do? Andy is like the goalkeeper. That's what Andy is, literally. If anyone freaky comes on, we've had a couple in the last couple of weeks because the channel's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's attracting kind of more comments and things as well. And so Andy makes sure that he's a moderator here. He's made sure that nothing happens too crazily on the channel, because we are family friendly. On all the videos are family friendly as much as we possibly can be. I don't swear, we don't do crazy comments or anything like that. So I do try and moderate it and try and keep it friendly, because I always think of my own kids, because we use YouTube Kids on the iPad and stuff that the kids can watch as well. So we are very careful what we monitor on that. And actually, some of my videos are on the YouTube Kids app. So I would keep. It's not that I want kids aren't going to watch a car review, but if it's that family friendly stuff, I want to make sure that stays the way it is. It's easy that way. DS says, "Hey Bob, how's the farm? It's good so far. It's kind of a cold, grey day, but it's been sunny this morning. I was out filming this morning. I'm driving the Jeep. What am I driving? The Jeep something or other. Not Cherokee, not Renegade. Compass. That's the one. Jeep Compass. I knew I'd think the name in a minute. That's terrible, isn't it? I should know the name of these things. But it's just so many bloody cars is the problem. With the Jeep Compass, I've driven as a kind of soft spot for Americana, but it's not a great car in fairness. That's See You on the Far Side, column F. Yeah, that became my named or my tagline at the end of it. Afternoon, Father. Greetings from Sweden, says Anton Sturasson. Greetings from Sweden. That's great. That's lovely to hear that the Swedish have dropped in with us. YouTube put up a thing that said the stream wouldn't start till 6 a.m. We're talking American time, of course, that's very early morning in America. So if you're here in America, thank you very much for coming. But if you're here from Sweden, you're 2 hours ahead of me. No, you're an hour, 2 hours. So 2 is 3 o'clock over there. Eric Rochford, must find my Facebook password to log in for the group. That's how much I use Facebook. Sounds like a good idea, though. I was the very same, Eric. No, I'm the very, very same. I don't really personally use Facebook to post links and things. I don't. I only ever actually kept it because my family, my brothers, are all on it, and they use it. We use it like a WhatsApp group. They just prefer Facebook, so that's the only reason I kept the thing. But then I thought, there's no way on YouTube to create a group for car people like us to kind of swap ideas or even swap pictures of our own cars, or do our little projects or ask questions. And I thought, if I create something, maybe people want to use it, that they can ask these other questions, technical questions. We've had all kinds of stuff happen already. One user bought a bleeding car from it as well. What was his name? He bought... Oh, no, that was the worst car. Hang on, I'm scrolling here. Find it. There it is there. The user Stewie Hunter, he bought himself a Seat Ibiza, a diesel Seat Ibiza. So he bought that because of the user group and because of Sunday service. Advice he got is an estate version as well. He's got twins on the way, so it must be important. Drinking tea again. The podcast users are telling me they're getting used to me when I stop to drink tea. Right. The big question, as a result of one of the popular bits on the Facebook group, any idea when a new Jimny is going to be on our drive? It's being tested right now overseas. People are already out there driving it, so it can't be far away. It's got to be coming in the new year. So Suzuki, though, is very slow. There is no Suzuki Ireland anymore. Suzuki in Ireland is run out of England, and they're very nice. They come over. They do provide press cars and things. So they're still here, but they tend to be quite slow and a little bit behind the ball. So we might not see that until 2019, but it does look very pretty, doesn't it? Can I just point out that it looks, everybody's going on about how it looks, but I think it actually looks a bit like the Jeep Renegade. If you have a look at that, that's been around for a while, and it's sitting on forecourt right now. It just started to rain really heavy and like horrible. God, there's supposed to be a hot air balloon thing down in Burr today. I was going to go along to it, but it was cancelled. No way getting there. Brian Cullen says, greetings, come on. Enjoyed all the shots on Instagram during the week. If you're not following me on Instagram, you should be. Because you got a whole live stream of me being at the Audi Q3 launch, going to Munich, staying a night in what was the Kaplinski, is now Hilton Hotel. And then the next morning flying over these mountaintops, this beautiful part of the Alps, into a tiny Italian airport and having a bit of crack there. It's really good crack. So you should check out my Instagram page. I'm just Bob Flavin on Instagram. If you have any interest in that sort of stuff, I do it on most of the trips, and I do once in a while here and there. Family friendly like a priest. Yeah, well, priests are okay too, and some of them are. I wouldn't tar them all with the same brush, although a lot of them have a problem. Mo Carey, do you like the new Audi e-tron SUV? We'll see. Once Audi can get around a 600-kilometer range, it doesn't matter what it looks like. It's going to work perfectly. E-tron looks like an interesting concept. I think we need to move away from having very unusual looking cars that are electric cars into creating that Audi Q3 I was driving the other day, electric. They're, easy peasy. But I got the advanced notifications. Great idea. I got it 30 minutes ahead of the start. Unfortunately, that stream, though, Brian, wouldn't bloody start for me. So that stream gives out notifications all the way along, but then it wouldn't actually go live when it came down to go live. So I don't know what the hold up was there. But yeah, that'd be handy if I could set up the stream so it's already in advance, like days in advance. The stream is already up there and running. That'd be handy, all right. What do you think of the new Audi e-tron virtual cameras replacing side mirrors? That probably won't go ahead. Side mirrors are dependable 100% of the time unless they are totally broken, and you will know straight away. Electronic cameras are not dependable 100% of the time. They break, you can't see behind you, and that's the end of that camera thing. So they've been around. That camera thing has been around for years. I saw that a few times over the last few years at various motor shows. It's been tried and tested. I think they need special permission to replace them with cameras. I don't think it's going to work, to be honest with you. Mirrors are mirrors. We're very good with them. We know what we're doing. There's no need to really change them too much. It just looks cool, though. I always get banned from Facebook after about 3 or 4 days. It's like having a Facebook account. Why do you get banned, though, Sean? There must be a reason why you're being banned. I've never been banned from Facebook. No, I don't engage with it much, but I've never been banned from it at all. Derek Meads. Bob, well done on a Beatle video. Really good. Enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, I loved making that. It doesn't get as many hits. Those kind of videos don't get as many hits as reviewing a new car. But I actually enjoyed making that video more than I enjoyed making car reviews. It was a great video because loads of research and loads of historical looks. The good part that's come out of that video is that I've had 4 offers from camera people and researchers to help to create more of them. So I'm looking currently, I'm just kind of poking around on Peugeot or Peugeot, whatever one you want to call it. The very first GTI ever created was actually created by Peugeot, not by Volkswagen. But, you know, so that's on the way as well. I'm going to try and squeeze another one of those kind of videos in before the end of the year, but they actually do require a lot of time. I really needed some budget to go with that video. And it's the guys, it's you people here who actually created that video in a roundabout way. The budget, the money that you've sent into PayPal, Patreon, even using the super chat here, funded videos like that. It funds videos, so it gives me a chance to actually do something and do research. And like I got brilliant Ruth helped me out massively, a librarian that I've known for a good many years, helped me out hugely on the research behind Stephen J. O'Flaherty and the O'Flaherty family owning Volkswagen here in Ireland, because they're an insanely private family. I mean, I've never met one of them, and yet I seem to know them all, but I've never met any of them. So we had to do a lot of research behind that. We did that. You know, there's a lot going on at the moment that gets it done, but it all requires money. So if there's money around and you've an ability to send any of it at all by PayPal, Patreon, Bitcoin, or Super Chat, click on one of the links down there and send it on. Carwow did a video on today. Yeah, it's been driven. Matt drove it internationally. A few other Matts have driven internationally as well. There's a few reviews around on it. A lot of guys would be very anxious to get the video reviews up of that, and that's cool. But Carwow would have went along to the international trip to make the video of it, like I did with the Q3 the other day. It's under embargo till Tuesday, so that video will come out Monday night at midnight or something. It'll appear out on the end of that. Monday night at midnight is Tuesday morning at 12 p.m. So it'll be out then. So it'll be one of the first videos up there as well. Same thing, but I didn't get to go to the Suzuki one because the video or the place were quite limited on that one, as far as I know. Marcus Hogan, thinking on buying a V40 to replace my first car. Diesels are ridiculously efficient, but feel like petrol is better. Bet. Thoughts? What was your first car? What are you replacing with a V40? V40 is quite small. Just remember, the V40 is not exactly a big car. It is a 5-door hatchback. You're buying into Volvo, but you're not buying into the big end of Volvo. So nothing wrong with them. They're a nice car. Just very careful of that spec here in Ireland. There's not a whole lot of kit in them, and they talk about a lot of spec, but actually it's just color changes to the dashboard and things. Is kind of weird. Eric Rochford, how long did it take you to put the Beatle video together? Well done. It looks great. It took 2 weeks. It took about a full day, more than a full day to film. No, a full day to film the 78 Beatle that I had, which was 2 absolutely brilliant sisters. They're twins, Shirley and Samantha. It's Samantha's car. Shirley has another one, which is a hardtop black. I think it's a 77 or 78 one as well. But Samantha's had run more recently. So that took a full day to go out to find the car, get the thing, learn all the history of that car, then drive it, film it with the drones, and then drive it back to them, and then pick up the other Beetles. That's 2 days of filming for just the 2 cars, and then probably about a week and a half of sourcing, getting permission for using footage, writing scripts, and then probably maybe another 2 weeks with research. So talking to Ruth and getting her involved. She's a librarian. She's really good at the research stuff. Getting her involved, that was probably a week's worth of work on her behalf. So you're talking about maybe 2 to 3 weeks of total work to get that video up to the standard it was at, and then leave it at that. And then we did that with just a very, very tiny budget. We spent a couple of €100 on getting things together, petrol and diesel and lunches and all that sort of stuff. You know, you can't just drive somebody's car and head off. You have to kind of think about doing other stuff for them. So it was really good. Really enjoyed it. I'd love to do more of that. The car is a star sort of thing, you know, to try and fill in the blanks of life and what life is really like around the car. Car is distinctive and has tons of kit, even buying in the UK, VRT SF40. That's from Marcus, so that's about his V40. I actually read a post this morning on Reddit Ireland. I don't know if you ever go in there. I sometimes go in there just have a browse around, but see what people are talking about in Ireland. It very rarely does that with cars. I'm not on it. I mean, I'm not on it as me on it. But one of the things I came across this morning was a fella pointed out that Hyundai, there's 2 Hyundais, one in Ireland, one in the UK, and there's £10,000 of a difference at least between the two, more, £15,000 nearly. They're talking about it's cheaper by $8,000 to buy that Hyundai in England than it is in Ireland, even brand new. Just thought it was an interesting idea. Plus one, the Beetle video had me itching for the Irish motor industry documentary. Yeah, that's what I really want. The really end goal of any of this stuff for Beetle or for anything I'm doing, I want to make a film about the car assembly business in Ireland. And unfortunately, that's very time sensitive. If I don't get that started this year, coming into next year, it's nothing to do with stuff running out. It's people. The people who worked in the industry are now quite old, and some of them are in nursing homes. Some of them are gone. We lost 2 old timers this year, ex-managing director from various companies this year. So time is running out, and some of the names you know won't be here forever. So we're under pressure trying to get that done. So I've been looking for funding here, there, and everywhere. Nobody really wants to stump it up. I reckon 10 grand maybe would get comfortably over the line to be able to get camera people and researchers involved. You can't ask people to do things for free always. It can't always be for free. We have to do something else. Television companies aren't interested because it's not TV friendly. It's not really. It is, but it isn't. They don't think it is. They don't think cars are wanted on television because they're just looking at Top Gear and the ratings going zoom through the floor, and they don't think cars are wanted on television anymore. So there's an element of that. So, but I'd love to make that documentary. It's an itch I'm going to have to scratch at some point, but it does require money. It's definitely not something I could do on my lonesome, put it that way. My first car is still a 2007 Suzuki Swift. Has stripes and a white roof like a mini aircon aside. It's never given me days trouble in 3 years. It probably won't either. You're moving from Suzuki, which will not give you any trouble, to Volvo, to a little bit more technical, a little bit more, and diesel, of course, as well. There's an element of that too. You'd have no problem going from one to the other, but it's just it's a big ask. It's a big change from one to the other. But V40 is a lovely car. Volvo's a lovely car as well. It is small in the back. It's not the biggest car. Try and buy the automatic. The manual one's not great, but if it's a high-spec one, it probably is an automatic, and you'll have no problem with that at all. Brian Cullen says, yeah, the Beetle video was great. Thanks very much, Brian. Would ever Chevrolet start selling cars in Republic of Ireland? No, I don't think so. I'll tell you what, at the moment, Chevrolet used to be owned by the group that owned Nissan, and then Chevrolet became owned by the group that owned Fiat. And Chevrolet actually used to be owned by the group that owned Mercedes and Volkswagen and all that MDL stuff at one point as well. So I think what really is, nobody wants Chevrolet because it was Daewoo, then it was Chevrolet, and everybody wants Chevys, but nobody wants Chevrolet, right? Jeep find it hard to sell stuff here. Fiat find it hard to sell stuff here. Alfa Romeo find it hard. And these are all established, good, big brands. You come back with Chevrolet, it needs to be something really good. I just don't think it can be something that's just cheap. We've enough cheap cars. I mean, look what Dacia is doing. The Duster, I drove it the other day. It's really good. Like it's become a really good, honest car, and it's still like 17,000 euros. So it just seems to be a fairly decent yoke now. So the thought of Chevrolet coming back into the country, I don't know whether they will or not. It's a bit like MG. I mean, MG's out in the UK. We don't have it here. It's out in Northern Ireland as well, and we don't have it here. Nobody wants it. So I'm not too sure Chevrolet would ever really get moving here. Be a hard sell. Be hard to get a dealer as well. Be the problem. Again, flick back there to Fiat and Jeep and Alfa Romeo trying to find new dealerships. It's really, really hard. It's a lot of work goes into trying to get a dealership out there. And without a dealership, you can't sell cars. Really, really, without a direct dealership. Even Tesla had to open one in this country. One, but he opened one. Also delighted to be watching you on a Sunday once again, and with everyone else. Love the Beatle video. Thank you very much, Marcus. It's very good. I will be here every Sunday for your delectation. Mark Harrigan agreed. The Beatle video was great. Hadn't realised they'd been built in Dublin. Great story. And that's only a tiny little scrapey bit of that Dublin story, because that factory that I would have to get access to. There's a museum inside the factory that nobody wants to talk about. There is actually a museum in there. They've collected a pile of cars and a whole heap of things. You have to get really special permission to film in there. But it's inside the factory. There's a whole story behind how it became that factory, not the one. I only briefly gloss over that the actual first Beetle was not manufactured in that factory. It was manufactured in a place on Shelburne Road. But there's a brilliant story behind Stephen J. Flaherty and what he did to bring Volkswagen to this country. And then when he got Volkswagen, what else he did, like Datsun, Nissan, Chevrolet, and just keep rattling off those names and brought other names along with it. Before you know it, then you have Fiat and Alfa making cars right across the road from the other factory. Honda was here, Ford was here. There was so many different factories and things here. But like I say, to make that documentary, and all the knowledge is up here, and I know who all the people are that I need to talk to. But to do that, I need money. And I mean, I just have to fire money at it. I'm going to have to pay a camera dude. I'm going to have to pay to have some editing done as well. There's some rights for video stuff that comes from RTE, which is really expensive rights that have to pay for to get the kind of footage that was there at the time. There's just so much little bits and pieces that need to be done that it's just impossible to do it like I did it with the Beatles video, which is basically do it for nothing. We did it for some lunches, some petrol, you know, stuff like that. So it's hard to get that kind of thing done, but without it, it's impossible. So anything you can give, you just throw it into PayPal there, Patreon, whatever you can do, it's always welcome. Even the smallest amount of money is always welcome. Mike Burke says, how's things, Bob? Have you ever reviewed the new Duster yet? Any improvement in the outgoing model? I wanted just mentioned a minute ago. Yes, 100%. They are 100% better than they were. I can say that for sure. Look, it's still utilitarian. It's still, you know, kind of thinner feeling, kind of tin when you close the doors. But all that aside, you get what you're paying for. The brand has moved on. The quality, the look, particularly the look of the exterior looks great. The four-wheel drive mode is really good. Always has been, though. In fairness, big mechanical standard four-wheel drive, the real deal one as well. The touchscreen and the sat-nav and stuff, it's all good. Like from 17... Is it 17,995 or something for the entry level? I think it's less than 18 grand anyway for a Duster. You begin to look at the price of it and go, why does anyone drive anything else? They're just so affordable, you know. And now they look nice. So I will be testing the new Duster, properly testing the new Duster very shortly. So I'll make a video of that. And I have done a small video on the launch day, but the two are so close together. I didn't want to confuse matters, but put down two Duster videos. It wouldn't have made a lot of sense. So I have to be very careful when if you put up like the Dacia Duster review and it's just a preview and then you look review and it confuses things within this absolutely rubbish network we have here called YouTube. But yes, the Duster has improved massively over its previous model. Just be careful of the spec. The entry-level one is still the entry-level one, and the plastics are still a little bit rough in it. But yeah, like I say, you're not going to get a car of its size for any more reasonable price. Even that's, you know, you're all looking at Suzuki Jimny that's coming out. I guarantee that's going to be over 20 grand. There's no way that car is going to be under 20 grand. And I saw a video this morning of a Jimny crossing the channel as well. I'm crossing a big cut in the ground. The old Jimny. They're a very capable car. Gia V6 has arrived. Oh my God, there's a lot. Wow, there was a lot of you here today. There's a lot of questions going on. Make sure you click that like button, everybody. Very important. Very important that you click the like button, right? My God, how far back do I have to go to get it? Here we go. Now we're starting to get there. I put on the timestamp thing so I can figure out how long ago you've asked questions. And it's like 20 minutes ago. I'm 20 minutes behind the questions. Sorry, a lot of questions. Gia V6, greetings from Brisbane. Good man. The Australians are here. No, or maybe he's Irish in Australia, I don't know. A place where you can drive big engine cars and not have to pay through your hole like back home. Well, that's true. We pay through, we pay. You all pay. Everybody pays to drive cars. There's just different levels of how much you pay. So the problem is we were never into big engine cars here. It never really took off here. The V6 and V8 stuff were always exclusive top end stuff. We always had, when I grew up, we started out with like 1 liters, 1.1, 1.3, 1.6, and a 2 liter was a big engine when I was young lad. So that was as big as we ever got here. So no big difference. Sean Neal, has anyone ever thrown you cyber cash? No, but I'm available for cyber cash. You can throw them in the PayPal, Patreon. Yeah, people do regularly contribute, but not 10 grand. I'd be prepared to negotiate with a sponsor if a company wants to sponsor the video, but it can't again be a car company because it's not about an individual car company. It's about multiple car companies. So it's impossible to say that I can just let one car company sponsored. As much as I'd love to take the car company's money, it would be bad for the channel here in that you're always going to be beholden to somebody. But I'd be interested in a company come along and we sponsor it through a company or something. I don't know. We figure that out anyway later on. But I do need money to make that video. It's just not possible to make it just on spec. It takes so long that everyone will be dead. That's just that simple. We're under that time constraint. The men, the women, the people involved in getting this video over the line are old. And I'm talking people in their 80s, people in their 90s, people in nursing homes. It's going to be tough. Even with the money, it's going to be tough to gather the story. That's why we need a researcher to start immediately. Mo Carey. My mom is exchanging her 2016 BMW X3 to a car in the budget of £3,000 to £4,000 and a max mileage of 60,000 kilometers. Any suggestions, but not big in size. So you're going from an X3 to something with a 3 or 4 grand. 2016 with a 3. So 2016 X3 plus £3,000 or £4,000, a max 60,000 kilometers. Where would you go from an X3 to something else? If you wanted to go down not down, but you're kind of moving across, but keeping the same size, you could look at something from Mazda. Mazda CX-3 is a lovely car, be in the right range. You definitely get in the right price range for sure, and you get the mileage there too. That's if you want to get away from BMW. Otherwise, you're going to have to move up, and you're never going to get it for 3 or 4 grand. So 2016, 2017 X3. It's very young, 2016 X3, but then that's what makes second-hand market keep going. Any suggestions from more Carey there, folks? Which chariot of fire have you chosen in the land of Australia? V6. That Jimny looks like a miniature cross between a Defender and a Wrangler. I prefer the previous model. I like the cuteness of the previous model as well. Very small, very cute, very nice. But there is something about those sort of flat-sided, slab-sided cars that people always seem to like. Look at Mercedes, you know, that Mercedes big car that they have that I can't remember the name of now. But that's a big flat-sided thing as well, same thing. DS says, hi Bob, have you seen the new Merc EQC EV? Nose looks more like a Renault than a Merc. It does, yes. They're all going that direction. It's all to do with aerodynamics. The real fight, the real battle right now to get extra range in the car is to be aerodynamically efficient. You know, a good aerodynamic tweak could get you an extra 50 kilometers from a battery. And that's a lot. Like, that's a lot. But I don't think electric cars will become very mainstream until we find ones that are doing 400 to 600 kilometers on a charge. That's where Audi is now. I'm surprised Nissan aren't already there. I'm sure Tesla won't be far behind because Tesla's real game in life, of course, is to create batteries, not cars. Cars has always been a side thing for him. I think, anyway, I think he's a bit of a joke, to be honest with you, most of the time. But I'd love to interview him, actually ask him some real questions like a real journalist, not like these other yes men that he goes and asks questions of. But the Merc EQC, the problem for Merc right now is they've too many models. They've launched too many things, I think. I think they've very much diluted their brand. They've got great cars in among cars that seem rushed out or something. It's just... God, they've got some really good stuff, but they just seem to not be talking about the next car too much. And then just it's launched. Here's the car. There's another car. There's another one. What about that one? It's like throwing a lot of stuff at you in the hope that some of it sticks. And I think that might be where the Merc EQC has gone. Plus, that's a really stupid name. I'm sorry, it is though. Your focus group needs to work on their naming strategies. Snazbot, welcome to the game. Which would you keep? An 04 petrol Toyota Corolla with 110,000, is that, I assume that's miles on it, or an 06 Renault Megane diesel with 200,000 miles, both are just past the MOT. I would keep the petrol Corolla because it's a petrol, not because it's a Toyota, and not because there's anything wrong with Renault. But a petrol car is easier to service, cheaper to service, and in the long run, you could very easily replace almost entirely the whole engine of the car and still keep a decent car going. Whereas diesel engines are tougher to service, they require more service to keep working properly, and crucially, they are really expensive when something goes wrong. All of them are. Eric Rochert, you are a very generous man. Thank you very much. He has put money into my PayPal to keep this machine running smoothly. It's very important that happens. The links for the PayPal, Patreon, and the Super Chat are right here on this page. Just scroll down a little bit and you'll see them there at the bottom. Click them and it will take you straight to it. It will take your credit cards and everything else off PayPal. They're pretty cool like that. It's very good. PayPal is the best way if you want to get the maximum money to me rather than giving the maximum money to YouTube or someone. PayPal is the best one. They charge the least charges, although they do charge quite a bit for conversion. So if you give me dollars, which some people do, converting that to euro costs a bleeding fortune. It's fine though. Whatever you can give, it could be a $5, it could be €2, it can be 20 grand, whatever it is you want to give, it's fantastic. Please don't be shy about it wherever you can. And we'll see if we can make this documentary about the car industry. Shamrock 1693. If you had 10k for a classic, I'd make the video. I'm no, sorry. What would you buy and what spec would you make it? Personally, I'd get a Toyota Flavin AE86 with fixed headlights and put a set of rally lights on like every Irish AE86. Yeah, I like your thought. That's actually pretty good. That's not bad. 10 grand for that now. The only problem with them is they need a life support system. They tend to get ragged to bits for the Levins or the 86s or the Corollas or whatever way you want to look at it. Once there's an 86 in it, they tend to be ragged to bits. And an awful lot of them are gone. And the remainder are sitting in garages and sheds or being done up as race cars. And that means they're gone anyway. Once you go off spec, once you go off normal spec for a car, boom, it's gone. Just realize many people are watching this. Good God, there's a lot of people this week, isn't there? And it's running along really rapidly. I haven't even mentioned our brand new shiny Facebook page. You know, we have a Facebook page. I'm sure there's a link around there somewhere. You can go to Facebook and go into Sunday Service Community. The Sunday Service Community looks like this on your phone thing. See, that might be backwards. I'm sorry if it is, but whether it is or not, it might not be backwards. I don't know. It's really good. It's a very good little group. I'm in it too, so I'll answer your questions there, or I'll gather questions for this thing next week, whatever. Better sounds good. What's the goal? Mid long term V8. What sounds good? Oh, the Shamrock. Yeah, okay, Shamrock. You're Levin. I like that 10 grand. What would you buy as a classic for 10 grand? I quite fell in love with that Volkswagen Beetle I was driving the other day, but that wouldn't be 10 grand. It'd be a lot less. There's Jay. Jay has submitted £10 through Super Chat. Thanks very much, Jay. Why is your name just come up as Jay? Are you not got a name? No. Anyway, thank you. Whoever you are, thank you very much. £10 sterling is always very welcome on the channel. If you have any other money you can give, not just you, Jay, but anyone else wants to, click the Super Chat thing there at the bottom. There's Sean McCabe in the house. Good man, Sean McCabe. Afternoon to you too. Marcus Hogan, delighted fifth gear is back on the air. Same as always, never too much. Tiffany Dell. Yeah, but they had to murder themselves to get that fifth gear back on the TV. It still struggles. I still think there's too many presenters, and I still think if they recycled, how do I explain this without making it sound like I want to get on fifth gear? So I don't want to get on fifth gear, but if they flipped the presenters out every once in a while, and that's a hard thing to do, still keeping the same old vibe to it. But like Tiffany Dell annoys people, and I know there's a lot of people that don't like him, but there's a lot of people that didn't like Jeremy Clarkson either. So between the two of them, they've always had that problem. Vicky Butler Henderson would be the same boat. Some people like her, some people don't like her. There's everybody on the show will have that sort of thing. So the way to combat that is to flip out one of the presenters every once in a while, put in a new one. But you have to take out the lead guy is the big problem. Tiff has to go. Tiff doesn't need to be there anymore. Tiff's got enough money and all. So he doesn't really need to be there anymore. So he could have been swapped out, and that is the problem. That is a real issue that should have been looked at that they didn't. They had the chance to do it and they didn't do it. Top Gear has done it and suffered dreadfully because of the way it was done. And now the ratings have just fallen away to 0. You know, I mean, it might as well be 0. For English TV, it's very, very low. Very low. I don't have a report on Amazon's viewing figures for the Grand Tour, but I would imagine they're high enough, or Amazon would have pulled a plug after season 1, and they wouldn't have been able to afford their very red-faced, aren't they? Wouldn't be able to afford their private yachts. But it's good to see car shows back on the television. I think they belong a little bit more on the internet than on TV these days. I'd like to see them continue going, but I think they missed a trick with Fifth Gear. They could have put in new faces and gotten new ways of doing things, and maybe changing up the format and making it feel a bit different, a bit better, higher vibe and things. Cormaca is in the house. I remember my uncle telling me about a Toyota assembly in Dublin. Cars being bought by staff family were painted 2 or 3 times more than normal, and they had fancy stereos in them different times. There's a brilliant story that I have a guy on camera talking to me about in Ford factory in Cork. If you knew a Ford, an employee on the line, obviously, you went to your local dealership to buy a Ford, and you'd say, you know, you buy the bottom spec, the entry level spec. Then you phone up your man on the line going, listen, this is the number of the car I've ordered. And you'd get leather seats, air conditioning, or whatever was the options, better alloys or something. And that has come full circle now. In the classic car clubs that are in the UK, the Ford Classic Car Club are ringing up to try and find out why the VIN number that they have on their books doesn't match the actual car that's in front of them. Is totally different spec. So it's come completely round again, and these cars are still on the go, these ones that were completely screwed with from the factory. And the same happened to Toyota. Same happened to all of them. They're all the same thing. Column F, what's the crack with the Alpha Quadroflug back on the road? The Alpha Quadroflug. Yeah, well, it is back on the road. It's the 4-leaf clover version of it, or the Quadroflugio version of it, which is the high-powered version of Alpha. Alpha Ireland probably don't have enough books to get the cars over here for any sort of long press term. Even the Jeep that I'm driving, which is Alpha Fiat Ireland, is English one, because it's got miles per hour on the speedo. So but they are back. You can order them. If you want one, you can get one, and they are hanging about there somewhere. What do you think of huge cuddly soft toys? That is a random question. What do I think? Well, I suppose this is the Ask Me Anything edition. You can do whatever you want to do. The big soft toys, cuddly soft toys, are, I suppose, good if you're into that sort of thing. But you know what? Very quickly, within a couple of months, they just get under your feet and get out of it. You know, they're always there. They're always hanging around. It's like, just get rid of it. Andy, the new current MG brand is odd. They are cheap and a lot for the money, but Dacia seems to get the sales from that segment and the market order, despite being a little less money from them. Dacia put themselves out as a very reliable company. Now, they don't have many checks, and they don't really, they only make one kind of car, and they're pulling all the engines and stuff, and there's not much in them to go wrong in the first place. So that's a bonus, I suppose, to some degree. But MG, everybody just thinks is just going to blow up in your face, because MGs used to be crap, right? Reliability-wise, they were fairly ropey. Derek says the new Jeep Compass is nice looking. York, in my opinion, really that bad to drive. It's not that bad to drive. No, it does look nice. It really does. But when you compare and contrast it to its competition, the drive of the car, you feel a bit perched on the seat, so you kind of slither about. The fuel economy is not great. The engine doesn't really rev up that nice, but like the kit and equipment, the sat-nav thing and the Apple CarPlay thing is the best in the business. 100%. It's brilliant. The interface is absolutely perfect on it. They do get some things right. The steering wheel is nice and things, so there is some nice bits in it, but it needs a lot of refining, and it's not quite there yet. So, but it is still a nice car. If it was cheaper, I'd be much more likely to recommend it than the price it's actually at. Bob High, says John Bitt, just saw a Samsung video recently with large TV type screens on the back of trucks based on cameras at the front, allows visibility of what's happening ahead to allow safety pass, etc. I've seen that video. So what you're doing is you're looking at the big back 40-foot trailer, you're looking at the back of it, and the back of it is actually sort of an LCD screen that's projecting a camera that's at the front of the truck, so you can see what's coming ahead. Now, the only thing I would say about that is that that does encourage overtaking of the cars, and it might, in certain situations, work. I'd be worried about how it would work when you come into a brow of a hill, where the truck is far ahead and can see to the brow of the hill, and you think it's empty and you take out. Who's responsible? You know what I mean? Is the truck telling people it's okay to overtake, and then they're responsible when things go wrong in the overtake? So I think it might be a little bit gimmicky. It's an interesting idea. I think there might be better solutions to it than the way it's been pulled off there. I think it's very expensive for a truck that's going to get battered around the place. You ever see what happens to those containers when they're on a ferry or a boat, and they're bet to pieces. Like, I don't think those screens would last very long, to be honest with you. Marcus says, did my leaving cert history project on the DeLorean Motor Company? I've been offered a DeLorean as well. There's a whole story to go with DeLorean that I haven't told it all yet. On DeLorean Motor Company a few years ago, I got an A1. Well done. Interviewed Des O'Malley for it, as he's a family friend. Imagine they were made in Limerick. Yep, amazing story behind the DeLorean company, and the story is still continuing. It's still unfolding. There's also a brilliant story behind Saab as well, which also was assembled briefly in Ireland. Saabs were made here. We're talking maybe 10 models, not all that, but it all intersects. Ireland is like the hub of manufacturing or assembly of cars in Europe. The deal that was done for Stephen J. O'Flaherty, that he kept the rights to assemble Mercedes in Ireland to the UK. Can you imagine that? Imagine having the UK market to yourself and you're assembling in Ireland. Anyway, that's part of the story. Amazing story. But DeLorean is another part of the story. A company from Northern Ireland, of course, put together in Limerick. Amazing things. They still exist. I've had a couple of people come to me and offer me a DeLorean for like those Beetle videos to do the DeLorean version. So if you know somebody with a decent DeLorean, preferably kind of unmolested DeLorean, I'm not looking for a Back to the Future one. It would be pretty cool to have a spin on one of those and show you what it's like as well. Have you still got your Say It Leon? Says Sean. My way now just went zooming by there. Every once in a while, this thing goes bunk and just goes forward. How's it going for you? Not a bother. Sitting outside the front door. No, it's not. Your wife and the kids have gone off somewhere. So it's not sitting outside the front door, but it normally sits outside the front door. It's working perfectly. Not a bother on it. Although we are on to yearly NCTs now, which is just nothing short of an entire rip-off. What a country we live in. Don't get me starting the NCT. I just freak out now for going NCT. But what do you think of the Kia Optima PHEV, and are they selling them in Ireland? The Kia Optima, no, to do the Kia Niro here. The Optima is not available just yet in Ireland. It might be available to order. You check with your dealership, but it's certainly not in the press feed, not running around the place. There is a launch of the Kia something tomorrow. What is the launch? There's a launch on tomorrow in Ireland. I may have already driven it. Hold on. Hold your horses till I find out what it is tomorrow. Kia Ceed and Sportage launches on tomorrow. So there's no mention whatsoever of PHEV for either one of those for Optima. So I don't think we're going to get one here. But the Kia Niro Optima or Kia Niro PHEV is very good. A little bit boxy. It's a little bit hearse-like, you know, but that's okay. That's not a bad thing. It's a remarkable looking car and goes very well, and the PHEV thing and hybrid version of it works very well. I'd be fairly happy and content to say that that's the one to get. But Kia Optima PHEV, not in Ireland, 33 and a third. I like your name. Of course, it's the thing that I get. Look at the 3 Series video and look at how many times 3, T-R-E-E, is written underneath it. It's amazing how many people in Limerick don't even know that could have been built in Anacotti. Amazing story. Yeah, it is huge. Bob, set up a GoFundMe for the documentary. Then everyone can direct their network to support and your community can see progress being made with collection. Okay. I didn't even investigate that sort of thing, the GoFundMe page. I'm sure somebody could help me with that one. I'm not very good at these sort of setting up things and then monitoring them and stuff. I have it all sorted with the PayPal and things, but I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out sooner or later. Eric Watchard, any more foreign trips coming up? There must be a pain in the early starts, not getting as much time in any one place. No, I tend to turn them down as much as go for. I go for certain ones. Ones I think will do well, or ones where something like I went for the Q3. I went for the Irish Daily Star. So that'll be in the Daily Star on Tuesday. So if I have a specific thing to go for, I'll go for that one thing, and that's where exactly I want to be. But generally speaking, the foreign trips yokes are only good if you have an outlet for them, or if you're new to the game and you know you're really into the idea of staying in some fancy hotels or whatever. Then people go on, and there are, don't make no mistake, there are plenty of people who exist like that, who go and they try and get a travel article, they try and get a car article, they try and get, through the airports and so they can go, well, I was away with Audi the week there. And, a lot of people do it for kudos in that respect. I do it if I think the video will either do well here on the channel and people will watch it and somebody wants to see it, or someone like a newspaper outlet or a magazine outlet wants an article or wants a video or something out of it. And so I can do it there as well. That would be the main place. I don't have anything else booked yet between now and Christmas. It tends to taper off a tiny bit here now, this time of the year, as we try and push on. We get closer to 2019. Most of the car launches, the heavy lifting of the car launches is sort of done come the end of summer. That kind of brings it to an end. Anthony Foley says, regards a documentary, would you be able to film it and interview the people who are quite old and keep it until you have the funds available to make documentaries so their stories aren't lost forever? I could, and yes, that is a definite way of going at it, but without knowing their story before you walk into an interview, it's impossible to interview somebody. You just kind of see two possible ways of interviewing people. And I've interviewed hundreds of people. One is you go in blind. And if you ever listen to Mark Maron on the What the Fuck podcast, WTF podcast, he does it that way. So he doesn't tend to research people so much. When they sit down in front of him, he just starts to talk to them and gets through the whole thing. So that's one way of doing it. You can do that, but sometimes you will miss the story. The actual story you're there to try and glean from them, they don't talk about because you don't have a question that leads them to the story. The other way to do it is to research the person fairly heavily before you go in. So at least you've got a few questions. You can guide them through the story so they sound interesting, and you try and get that story out of them that you know exists. And at the end of it, then you try and clip it together in such a way that it makes sense. That's the way I'd prefer to go at this, because I'm only going to get one chance with some of these people. So when I sit down with them, if I get near them, I get into a nursing home or get into their family house or whatever it is, and I sit down with them, I don't want to waste their time. I don't want to sit there for 2 hours and let them ramble on into a video and I only use a minute and a half of it. I would rather sit down and go, here's 10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes and I'll talk to the guy and I'll get all the questions and answers and we'll walk out. But that requires research, which means that I need to employ a researcher. I can research, but it takes hours of trawling, and then you need access to archival footage, which is often things like the Irish Times, the Independent, the old stories that are out there from years and years and years ago. That all requires research, which requires money, and you don't want people to do it for free forever. It's a passion project, but even passion projects require a little bit of money to be put at them. Brilliant to see so many people here today. This is probably one of the busiest days we've had in the last few weeks. It's really good. Don't forget to go over to the Sunday Service community on Facebook, where I will make sure that you're entered into, because it's a closed network, closed group thing. So I'll make sure that you're not hanging about waiting to get in. I'll just check. Oh my God, we're off already. Member requests are already in. Thank you very much. Loads of we're all getting into the group here. Anthony Foley, yes, just approved you. I'm going to read out your names. Liam Morgan. Thanks, Liam Morgan, for the Mick Mulcahy. Well done. Zdenko, I can't pronounce your last name, but there you are. You're in already. Eric Martins. Good man, Eric. Mo Carey. Good to have you aboard, Mo Carey. Recognize your name from here. Well done. And Rob Scoose. I don't know what your last name is. There you go. So you're all in, and there's still more names there starting to come up there as well. So that's really good to have you there. It is the Sunday Service community on Facebook. If you want to join us there, text, videos, whatever you want to put up is fine by me. It is a closed group though, so I'd appreciate anything you see within that group. You don't start sharing in a greater sense outside the group, taking screenshots and firing them out and stuff. It's a place people can ask proper private questions, and it's also a thing, kind of a mental health thing as well. I want people to be able to come to a place where they can discuss whatever they want to talk about amongst themselves and get to know other car people within that area and find interests and stuff. And also we can arrange an event. So I'm hoping to arrange an event before this side of Christmas. So over the next couple of months, arrange an actual event where you all come and meet up. No donuts, no messing around, none of that sort of stuff. Just meet up, bring what you got, whatever car you drive. It's absolutely fine. I'll try and find something tasty to bring along, so you can all have a look at that. And we'll all meet up and have a chat in real life, like actual real people. That's kind of scary, isn't it? Kind of weird, but scary, yes. What would you recommend for a first car for a teenager? A bicycle? First car. Depends, you're going to buy something new, you're going to buy something used. I would suggest you buy the cheapest possible thing you can find. Spend no more than maybe 2.5 grand on a car. We've all done it. If that's a good, like my first car was £100. That translates to about €170. It was a piece of crap. But I learned so much from that car. I had to fix it, I had to repair it. That's a Nissan Cherry, a piece of, and I got crashed into twice, even though it was canary yellow. I was crashed into as well. Both times it was their fault, not my fault. But I had to service it and clean it and mind it and wash it and fix yokes and take out seats and replace things. And it taught me so much about looking after a car and trying to make it work that I have no fear of buying cars anymore. I grew up around the whole thing. So whatever you can find, Josh, at a cheap rate that you know you'll be able to fix. So something 1 liter, something petrol. Micra is a good bet. Toyota, one of the Toyota ones out there, they'll put up with a lot of high mileage. Why I say Nissan, a lot of people ask me about the small, why I always say small Nissans. Nissan has a timing chain in their engines rather than a timing belt. Timing belts can go and you don't know when they've been changed, even when you have that little Tipex mark on the top. Yeah, right. Of the last time it's changed. So timing chain, you can actually hear it. When there's something wrong, if you can hear the chain going round, the chain needs changing. If it gets noisy, it needs to be changed out. So I tend to guide people towards anything with a Nissan engine, anything small, even a Renault Clio. If it's a petrol one that has a Nissan engine, sort it. With the true Aussie Falcons, and the Commodores, what cars, man, of use. Well, I love them yokes. They're amazingly stupid, but I do love them. No longer being built here in European cars, especially German stuff are really big over here now. S3s and Golf Rs are common, and Micras and Yaris at home. Oh, not a shame. Your whole industry was destroyed. It's an awful shame. Destroyed from the inside as well, make it worse. Bought out and then just torn apart. The whole Aussie youth thing was amazing. Some of those Commodores just rock your world. The speed of the yokes, the noise of the yokes. Do you know any car factory tours in Germany? There is a good few, yes, Mo. Most of the German car companies do a factory tour. The Mercedes one is particularly good because the Mercedes Museum. Now, I think that one's is that in Munich or is that in Berlin? I can't remember what city it's in. I forget what city it's in, but they do. There's a Mercedes museum in the Mercedes factory. Audi do one in Neckarschlum. It's called. You can go and do a track day with them out there actually on that thing, and they have a indoor area. People go and pick up their cars there. When you buy a new Audi, you can go pick it up in Neckarschlum. They only do certain brands or certain types. Like I think it's the Q5, the R8, and something else that's made in Neckarschlum. But that's worth doing. But as for touring the actual factory floor, no, I don't think anyone lets you do that. I've done it a couple of times, but obviously being a journalist, you get special sort of dispensation. You go and you sign your life away and you're insured and you take your phone off you and things so you don't see anything you're not supposed to. So I've been in a couple. Puget did a really nice one first one time actually. We walked all around their engine factory. It was really good, really nice. Like it was cool to see the actual factory thing do its stuff. Say it did one down in the place outside Barcelona. I can't remember the name of it now. That was good as well. Kia Niro EV and Hyundai Kona EV are 500-kilometer range cars as tested by Bjorn. Good old Bjorn. Real mileage and believable mileage and actual use mileage can be all different things. So if somebody says 500 kilometers, I go 350 to 550, depending on how you're driving it, because nobody drives like that. It'd be lovely to get 500-kilometer range. Audi's talking about 400 kilometers. The real thing behind that is Audi wants to go 600 kilometers is what they're actually after. Oh, cold tea. Still wet though, so that's good. 600 kilometers where it needs to be. That's kind of where a petrol car. You buy a petrol car today, fill it up, you'll do about 600 kilometers on a tank. If you can do that in electric, you've got it won. Hyundai Kona, the EV one, looks really affordable in England. It doesn't look affordable here at all for some strange reason. I don't know what's going on there with the price between the two. I know there's a lot of taxes and charges and things we're not seeing in England that's here, or we're not seeing it here that's in England and so on. So it's a bit odd the way they're working it out, but I suppose it'll keep moving. Bob, if 1.6% of your subscriber base on YouTube committed €20 each to the motor industry project, you'd have the budget for it. An exciting way to look at it, that €20 from 500 people is achievable. See, there's a maths done there by Cormac. Genius, absolute genius. I told you I'm crap at this math stuff. But yes, if 500 of you give 20 euro into my PayPal, we would make our documentary and have it here for everybody to see. It'd be brilliant if that was possible. Absolutely brilliant if that was achievable. I don't know how achievable it is. At 20 euro, sounds like it's a lovely amount of money, but it sounds like a lovely, large amount of money for some people as well. If you can't afford it, don't do it. I'd absolutely adore it if we could make the video. We'd all adore it. I know it'd be something. It'd be a pure passion project about car manufacturing on this little tiny island in the arse end of Europe on the western border of the thing that's been cut off from the world by England at the moment. And we still rock the world when it came to car manufacturing in this part of the world. So it'd be brilliant to make the video. I'd love it. So if 500 of you can put in 20 euro into a PayPal, we're done. We're done. We're off. Oh, sorted. Bob, what's down the side to PCP finance, as I want to get a new car, but wife would prefer low mileage second-hand on HP. Okay, so let's break it down there. HP and PCP are basically the same thing, but there's a slight difference in how you get out of PCP versus hire purchase. Okay, so hire purchase means you go in on a payment, so you make an initial payment, you start it off if you want. That payment can be deferred. Sometimes on PCP, it's 100% finance, right? So sometimes HP is a little bit more adaptable in that respect. But supposing you put down a deposit, you start making payments over a period of time. Hire purchase is 3 years, sometimes 5 years. It depends. It's much more flexible. And then at the far end of the hire purchase agreement, you make a balloon payment and the car is yours. End of story. There is no more story to it. You make that balloon payment, you walk away, you own the car. Now you can sell the car, you can trade the car in, you can do what you want, and you hire purchase another one if you like. That's hire purchase. In a sense, that works. Hire purchase was always seen as a bad thing because the interest rate was gigantically high versus the price of a car loan from a bank. So hire purchase is always seen as a last resort. When you couldn't afford anything else, you could get a hire purchase agreement and make the payments that way, especially with a bad credit history and all that sort of stuff. PCP has come on, and PCP is ever so slightly different. So PCP, you still pay the payment up front, but you have to pay that payment. That payment is agreed before you start making any payments. Then you pay hire purchase payments for 3 years. At the end of the 3 years, you have essentially three choices. So we take the two common ones. One is you pay off the car and you keep it. So you pay off the balloon payment at the end. Car is yours. You just hand back the keys. End of story. Walk in after your 3 years. You've made your payments at that point. You walk in and go, here's the car. I don't want it anymore. I have no interest in balloon payments. I can't afford a balloon payment. I'm immigrating and I don't want the car anymore. Here's the keys. They take it back off you. Under agreement, you own nothing. So at that stage, you don't owe any further payments on the car. You don't lose your credit history. Nothing happens there on that other end. The third choice is you still have to pay off the loan, but you kind of recycle it and you stay in the group. So if you bought a Volkswagen Golf, you can move on to an Audi, whatever it is, or another Volkswagen or something within that same area. And that's another way of looking at it too. Each one has benefits. Each one has drawbacks. My preference is to get a car loan from a bank or a credit union that is actually a product called car loan. And you make your payments. And what you try and do is 50% of the car, you buy it with cash, your own money, or a trade-in, or whatever it is. And then 50% you finance that through a car loan. And then you own most of the car before you ever start. I think that's the safest way out. But PCP has worked for some people. If you just want a car to be replaced every 3 years at the front door, then PCP is the best way to do it. But the PCP has a lot of restrictions on it. There's mileage restrictions, there's service restrictions, there's all kinds of restrictions. Be really careful, be hyper aware. Dealers will try and sell you whatever it is that they think you might want. They don't care about you or anything to do with you. They care about sales. And just remember that. That's important to keep in the back of your head, that a dealer wants to make money. They're not there to make you have the best time of your life. You're there to make you have the best time of your life. So you're stuck with the PCP or the hire purchase or the PC or whatever finance agreement you go to for a number of years. Always try and buy the car you can afford. My father was of an opinion, if you couldn't buy it for cash, don't buy it at all. Don't ever get a car loan. That's just his own way. Toyota Corolla, Josh, 04 1.4 petrol one, cheap insurance and will go forever and cost you no more than $1,500 to buy. There you go. That's exactly what you need, is the cheap first car. If you can get cheaper than that, let me know, because there's plenty out there. Snazbot, if you can't decide which to keep between a Toyota and a Renault, then you need to lie down. That 06 Megane is the version 2, which has multiple reliability issues. For example, the windows. Now, there you are. Johnny B. Good actually gave us a £10. It only said J at the top for some reason. Anyway, thank you very much, Johnny B. Good. You're very good. He changed his nickname. That's no harm. That's all right. Thank you very much for submitting the money that you possibly can. That will go into a great big fund that will try and get us more of these nice videos that I brought out. Sean O'Neill, but Tiffany Dell frightening the crap out of Jason Plato is an unbeatable entertainment. Yeah, but I do think there's a very short-lived. I don't think there'll be another series. I think this series was a massive struggle for them to get on, and I think there'll be, unless they get a giant uptake in advertising and in viewership, I don't know if it'll go any further. I really don't. It's very hard to say what's going to happen next. I'd love to say it's good for me that they exist, because then I look good when they do it wrong, and he looks good when I do it wrong, or whatever. Okay, so there's an element of that goes with it, but I do think that it has a very short lifespan on TV. Hi, Bob. My first live Sunday service. Love your videos. Thanks, Rob. 1975 is good to have you here. I take it you're born in 1975, so you're nearly my age. Congratulations on getting to this part of your life. There's lots more of it to come. Good to have you here, though, Rob. Robertas says, hey, Bob, what do you think about the culture of young-timer cars? Cars that are not quite old enough to be classics, but are old enough to make you into a hipster for owning one, e.g. old Audi 100s. If you're happy looking out the window of a car, and it goes without too much trouble, you'll always be happy. Buying a car for fashion purposes has always been done, always. Since the dawn of cars, really, we bought them to be fashionable and to be different, do what it has to do. So I kind of like it. It's nice to see those cars get a new life as well, not just be scrapped and thrown in on something brand new and terribly hyper efficient and stuff. I'd rather see a car survive and go on and be something else at some point, to bring a family on and keep them moving. So that's a good thing for the car that's not been destroyed. It might also teach some people how to look after the cars themselves, which I think is an essential piece of kit for you to have in the top half of your head, is how to change a spark plug, how to change an oil filter, how to change an air filter, how to refill your oil, top up your oil. These are all essential things. If you do them, your car lasts a long time. Andy McAfee has just linked our new Facebook page. It's the Sunday Service community right there on Facebook. Go over to Facebook and join it. It is a closed group, so you will have to apply to join. I know I'm not trying to make it terribly exclusive. What I'm trying to do is keep the people inside able to say whatever they want to say without it all appearing all over sort of all kinds of timelines everywhere. So it's a lovely little community thing. You can share whatever posts you want in there. It's absolutely fine. Try and keep the advertising down to a minimum. It's a lot of people involved. There's over 300 members now, I think. So if you want to join, go for it, man. Go for it and get in there. Where are we now? I'll just check out and make sure how many people have wanted to join now. Yeah, there's a lot more. It'll be over 300 today, I think. Nakel and Jim. There's Jim is added to the group. We're all good. We're all doing well. I'll get the rest of these now as soon as I can. Bob, do you prefer crossovers like Sportage or standard compacts like Seed? Both have a different place in my head. Buying something for myself, it would be a 5-door hatchback like the Seed, just because that's enough. I don't need any more than that Seed. I don't need a thing the size of a Sportage. But they both are so similar as well in their own respects, you know. So you're buying a slightly bigger car, but it's not much bigger. I mean, the Sportage is not much bigger than the Seed inside. It's just taller off the ground. Craig says, hey, Bob, Audi A4 estate diesel or Lexus IS 300H? I would go the Audi A4 there between the two of those. Lexus is a tough sell for Lexus, let alone a tough sell for you in 3 years' time. Just telling you now, right? Hybrid or no hybrid, 3-4 years from now, I think it's going to be difficult or more difficult to get rid of a Lexus when you want to change something else. Plus, the interior, although looks visually the same, just Audi interiors are brilliant. They just are. They're so well put together. They do such a good job on it. I'd love to see in a hybrid, but I just don't know if Lexus is the way you could possibly go. I think it's going to be a hard, difficult sell as a trade-in later on. You will always get money for the Audi A4 Avant. A6 Avant would be nice as well, you know, but make sure you buy an automatic, whichever one you're buying, buy an automatic. Hi guys, it's Jim the bus driver checking in. Happy motoring to all. Don't worry, James Dunn, Jim the bus driver, doesn't actually drive a bus while watching the Sunday service. But he is a bus driver, so sometimes listening. Big shout out to all the guys who are listening on podcast. I know I've missed a week. I forgot to put the last week's one up on the podcast system, but it will go up and I'll put it out. Huge uptake on the podcast. It's become number 13, number 12 or something in motoring. So as a motoring podcast, as a lifestyle and entertainment or some crap in iTunes, it's number 12 or 13 in the whole world. So it's doing extremely well. Very happy with that. I never intended that. I was always meant as a sort of a repository. People wanted a way to be in the Sunday service without listening. You know, they don't want to watch. They want to hear it back when they're on their run or whatever. And I know how you feel. Fingers crossed I get a run in today if I can. And get a chance this morning. I was filming that Jeep that I have outside the door. So thank you very much for listening on the podcast if you're listening on the podcast. But if you're watching live, even bigger thanks. But don't forget, you can give money towards keeping the Sunday service and, of course, this entire channel free as always. I hate the idea of doing merchandising, but I probably will have to go that route at some point. But it'd be brilliant if you could submit some money. Any amount of money is fine. There's Super Chat, there's PayPal, there's Patreon, there's all kinds of ways you can submit money to the channel. Someone just suggested a GoFundMe account as well, or one of those kind of account things that works out. We're always trying to create community stuff. So if you want to go over to Facebook and look for the Sunday Service community, it's in there as well. Apply to join that and we get you in there. That's free as well. Another free service we provide around here. It's all free, lads. But if you can give anything to keep the channel free and running, it'd be brilliant if you could. I was at my local Kia dealer. Well, I wasn't at my local Kia dealer, but there we go. I was at my local Kia dealer and tried the new Kia Sportage, and I'm impressed by the quality of the interior. Really good car. Yep, 100%. It is really good car. I'd have no complaints with. Would I have a complaint with any Kia? Not really. No, I don't really have any complaint with any Kia. I like the Picanto. That's just me. I'm kind of weird. I like those kind of small cars. I always do. Tom Crockett. That's a good name. You related to what do you call Crockett? Andy's having a busy day. I just noticed Andy's having a really busy day out there. Sorry, Andy. There's a lot of weirdos that's just sitting around because it's very popular today. We've got a lot of users, a lot of new people who have appeared today as well. It's absolutely brilliant to have you all here. Thank you very, very, very much. Be sure to subscribe. We've had this is a really busy day. It's really good today. So we'll keep on going. We're an hour and 7 minutes in, but Andy's gone silent because Andy's fighting the spam bots that have landed and the people who want to get their really poor, bad taste messages over. So Andy's pulling his hair out very, very carefully. Everybody thank Andy McAfee for being the moderator. What do you think of the VW Group clearly struggling to get emissions low enough with WLTP testing? I'm currently selecting a company car and Karoq is no longer an option due to its high emissions. I'm going to probably end up having to take a BMW 2 Series Active Tour hybrid. I can't see in the short term how VW can be competitive in the company car market. They'll come back. They'll be competitive. There is a deferral process at the moment, and we have a run out at the moment as well, which means any car that was made up to, is it September? I think it was made up to September this year, can have its WLTP thing deferred forever. So it's always going to be the old system. And any car made after that needs to be WLTP compliant, which is harder than you imagine, especially when you're trying to get rid of all your old engines. That's why those cars have gone off your company car system. Plus, company car systems, the way it's judged and the way it's worked is being changed all across Europe and most of the world. The idea that people just get a company car by standard for just joining a company is not as straightforward as you might think. So you are being encouraged into hybrids, into petrols, into other cars. Unfortunately, that is driving up our CO2 and will also drive up some other factors as well. But as diesel company cars, yeah, it is a bit of a problem for Volkswagen Group. It's a problem for everybody. It's not just Volkswagen Group. You look at what BMW's lost off their list. You look at what even Volkswagen taking away the Up GTI. Oh, never got to drive it. It's gone. It's gone. It won't be coming. And that's just straightforward. It might come out at a later date, different guys or less horsepower or something to get around WLTP, but it just can't be made for WLTP compliant as it is. So everybody's going through it. Everybody's trying to get their cars on spec. We are going to get lower powered cars. I can't talk about the Q3, but they were talking about the same sort of thing the other night as well. Everybody's talking about it. So it's not just Volkswagen or anyone else. Every car company is struggling with WLTP. Some car companies had it headed off in the past, like Toyota. That's why they dumped all the diesels. Just been, nope, not doing diesels anymore. Porsche announced this morning they're not doing diesels anymore at all. They're going to do hybrids from now on. End of story. So there's no more Panamera diesels or any of that. That's all going to go out the window as well. Volvo announced the same thing. So everybody, some people were preparing in the most extreme way and just went, we're not doing that anymore at all. And forget about it. Whereas Volkswagen is still creating the diesel and it still has a future. It's not gone yet, but it's going. I am so far behind. I'm sorry. I'm 2:40. I'm answering questions from over half an hour ago. So I am sorry. I am getting there, though. Ireland appears to be the kiss of death for the car assembly. Well, the laws changed. The tax laws changed here. That's what really happened is Fine Gael came in, got their way and changed the tax laws. And all the car companies went, right, well, we don't need to be here anymore. Goodbye. And they all just walked out because they didn't have to pay tax here in the same way. They were able to go and start assembly in the UK. And then, of course, unions got involved. That drove the very last company that was here, which was Cork in the mid-80s. They were driven out by unions, by disagreements, by everything. Absolutely everything went against having Ford in Cork, and they went. The first Model T Ford ever assembled outside the US was manufactured right here in Ireland. So there's a whole story around that as well. That's another whole story. So we were huge here. Of course, Henry Ford's involvement with the Nazi Party in Germany has never been discussed, and that's 100% there as well. So there is all kinds of things that go on, but I can't make a video about that until I get enough money to do it. James O'Connell, don't get me started on NCT, James. James, I'll freak out. That's what happens. NCT makes me absolute blood boil stuff. NCT is absolute joke of a thing. Every time the MOT is coming around for me, I console myself with the fact that at least it isn't the NCT. You're absolutely right. For God's sake, Northern Ireland, if you're coming down to South of Ireland, you're going to all join up, keep your MOT where it is, right? Because the NCT is an absolute pain in the nuts. At least the MOT can be done at all kinds of MOT centres. You know, you can go to garages that are registered MOT centres and get it done. And it's relatively straightforward to pass. It still does the same job as NCT, but it's a lot fairer of a system. This bloody country absolutely sticks the boot in because it's not run by the government here. It is run by a crowd called Applias Plus. They're a Spanish group. They run it most of Europe. And it's a complete monopoly and nobody wants to talk about it. And of course, journalists aren't brave enough in this country due to advertising standards. And so they don't want to talk about it. David Thompson says, hi, Bob. Hope you're well, mate. I am. I'm very well. Thank you very much on this beautiful. It's gone very sunny again. It was very windy today, Sunday afternoon. James O'Connell, my BMW 520D 08 failed the NCT for a tiny crack in the dust cover on the ball joint, and the ball joint itself was perfect from what money-making racket NCT is now. Yes, they attack absolutely everything. Every piece of rubber in it is a fail, no matter what kind of rubber thing has gone wrong in it. Now, I understand a ball joint, when you get a crack in the rubber, you get dust into that ball joint and eventually starts to creak and it will grind against itself. But really, it's not really a safety thing. Can I point out something else as well? That the NCT tests your suspension on each axle. And so when they test your suspension, when they vibrate it up and down, they test your suspension on each of the axles. If those two axles are not imbalanced, they can be imbalanced with one another. The back and front can be wrong. And so it can still be an absolute safety disaster, but it falls apart. Sorry, there's a pile of people in there. Andy McVie is deleting messages left, right, and center from. Will I just ban him? Can I just ban that guy? Who is that guy? Hang on a second. Let's do something here. Yeah, do that. Now, Anton Schureston. Speaking of NCTs, here in Sweden, we must put our cars through the equivalent every year if the car is over 3 years old. It costs roughly €30. How much is in Ireland? Keeps our cars safe up here. Ours, after 10 years, it's every year, and it's €75. Is it €75? Something like that. So it's a lot more expensive. And like, we don't live in Sweden, which is meant to be very expensive, and you have a cheaper NCT. But we see the problem is here, you put it through the NCT, they stress your car to its absolute and utter limit. I've seen old women go in a little starlet joke, and you're waiting for pistons to come out through the bonnet. The guy's revving it that hard. And then they hand it back and go, that's broke, failed, goodbye now, see you later. And it's a 70-year-old woman has to drive this car home that's half broke. So they're a real pain in the ass is what it really is. I just think there's better ways of doing it, and have been better ways of doing it. This monopoly that they've got on it right now is absolutely terrible. James Dunn says the video you did on the Beetle was top notch. Thank you very much, James, for watching. Brilliant. Hopefully you'll share it out and tell all your friends and embed it in places, wherever you want to do it. Brilliant. Anton NCT is €55. Sorry, retest is 28. 55 and 28 is what we pay here. I thought it was 75. Where did I get the €75 from? Must be maybe I was adding the two of them together or something. Are you going to do any more camper van reviews? Very few. I'd love to. Yeah, of course. The Renault Master one is a totally different camper van. I'd love to do more camper van reviews, but there isn't actually a camper van maker in this country. Apart from Cozy Campers. Like Cozy Campers takes an ordinary camper van or an ordinary Renault Master and converts it into a camper van and puts that on sale. So he's kind of a camper van maker in a way, but not like there is in the UK where there's hundreds of these guys doing it for a living all day long. So it's quite easy to get the old camper vans over there. It's a bit harder here to get them. So there's California and there's Renault Master. Mercedes Ireland have just point blank refused to bring in the Marco Polo, which everybody is asked about. That's a camper van that Mercedes actually makes. So it's a shame they won't bring it. I'd love to do loads more. So if you've got a camper van, let me know. Give it to me. I'll do a review of the thing for a crack. For the historic project, maybe consider contacting some colleagues to see if there would anybody interested in doing research as a project for the degree. I really would. I'd love to make the video, but I'd really love to pay people to have the job done. I don't think, like, as a passion project, they're brilliant. But I think to be proud of something, you work on something. You give your time to it. Instead of kind of, what happens is when someone does it as a sort of aside, it takes longer to do it when they feel like they have to do it. They feel like they owe you a favor, and it's all this favor stuff. When you walk in and say, listen, I'm going to give you 500 quid, I want research done. Then that's it. That's a job. You're paying somebody to do it, and that's the end. There's a budget. Get it done. So I'd love to do it in a way where it's just a passion project, everybody get involved, nobody gets paid until we release it, and then we try and figure out a way of doing that. But it's not going to be one of those sort of films. I'd rather have some money in the bank and go, this is what we're doing. We're going to spend money. We're going to fly to this crowd and do that. Like, I'd love to go over to Wolfsburg and deal with the historical parts over there. Again, that's going to require a lot of money. A night in a bloody hotel somewhere out there, even if it's like Wolfsburg is in the middle of nowhere. You take a train to it, you get off of the platform, you look around and go, my God, there is nothing in this place. And there isn't. There's a Volkswagen plant and there is a bit of a village around the side of it. That's it. That's Wolfsburg. But I'd love to go out there and, go to the museum and film the museum part, see the Volkswagen for myself, the Beetle that's out there. That's the first one ever made in Ireland. So there's loads of stuff to do that can't be done from favours. It just can't be done that way. Brian Cullen says, Fitzskull, that's funny. A Pole calling an Irishman a drunk. Yeah, well, that's true. A Polish person calling an Irishman a drunk. Who called an Irishman a drunk? Oh, all right, somebody got banned. Right, that's from a banned comment. Don't worry about it. That's be all right. We got a moderator here who's earning his keep today. And then there's me, of course, hanging around the background. We both basically have the same powers. Don't mess with the Andy. The Andy will kick your ass. Norfolk Enchants. Bob, I'm saving for a mortgage at the moment and living like a bloody monk. I don't want to tie myself into a PCP, but need something reliable. Do any of the main dealers offer leasing deals? No, most of the main dealers will be banned from offering anything outside of the PCP environment that would be created for them. Now, I particularly look at Volkswagen and Renault and that because they have their own banks, which means you may get a deal from them that would not be available from other manufacturers. Ford Ireland, for instance, is with Bank of Ireland, so you have to go through the Bank of Ireland system there. What I would recommend is if you've got anything to do with credit union, or you've got any sort of history with a credit union, would be to get something off them. They're very favorable in that respect, and it's very easy payback system. They're not going to nail you left, right, center every time something goes wrong. So I'd kind of look in that direction if you could, but no main dealer, as far as I'm aware, gives any other finance deals than the stuff that they're completely tied into, which would be PCP stuff now. There might be some sort of HP system that they got on the back burner, but they won't be talking about it too much. Try ones that isn't, if you're really looking for something that's unusual, try not main dealers. So there's a number of those around as well who also will work out some finance deals for you, but it won't be through the standard routes. You may end up paying a lot more interest, which is dead money. Interest is dead money. It only goes one way. Interest into the banks. How's your Sunday going, says Daniel. My Sunday's gone absolutely fabulous. We have more than, I don't know how many hundreds of people have already been here to watch this and give us a thumbs up. So it's been a great, great day, yeah, so far. Schnazbot says, thanks for answering my last question. Do you have any tips on importing cars from Northern Ireland into the Republic of Ireland post-Brexit? Well, we don't actually know what Brexit's going to bring us, whether it's going to bring us a hard border, which is a wall, effectively, between us and Northern Ireland, or maybe UK will break up and you'll find that Northern Ireland will become part of Southern Ireland. That's a possibility. Maybe Scotland will join Northern Ireland together and those two will become a country separately from England and so on. There's all kinds of permutations happening. And it may seem like an extreme thing that I'm talking about, like that'll never happen. You know what? Who knows what's going to happen? We never seem to know what else is happening at the moment. The real possibility could happen at the moment right now is that England becomes its own little tiny environment. Not England, sorry, the UK becomes a tiny environment and Northern Ireland gets cut off from this part of the world by a customs border, effectively. That's what I grew up with when I was a kid. There was a customs border, a proper border, manned by our army and our police on one side, and then the RUC and the English army on the far side of it. So you had to go through the borders to go to Northern Ireland when I was a young lad. That's within my living memory, so it's not that far away. It's comparable that could happen here again. It's now a little bit more difficult to do in that you've got ferries going back and forth from the UK the whole time. You've got so many different border crossings and things. So I don't know what's going to happen that brings a change to the Brexit system and to importing a car into Ireland from the Republic of Ireland. Because if it changes right now, it puts a lot of dealers out of business. Most of the dealers, main dealers in Ireland, and most of the second-hand dealers in Ireland get their second-hand used cars from auctions in the UK. And that's just the way it is. Sorry if you're in the car industry, you don't want to mention that, but you're all telling people not to import their own cars, but yet you're the ones importing most of the cars. So grow up and take responsibility after that. But I don't know what's going to happen after Brexit. It depends what Brexit brings us. It could close the border. We could be stuck here with just the used cars we've got right now, like Cuba was for 50,000 years. Or the other alternative, something no one wants to talk about, is we change the side of the road we drive on here in the Southern Ireland. We put up a border between us and Northern Ireland, and we start importing cars from Germany. Job's done, huh? Swedes did it years ago, overnight, just changed, was that Sweden or Norway or somewhere? We could do that. Sure, why not? Carmack says, love the idea of a meetup. That would be it wouldn't be any messing around donuts, just from off Bookfest. We'd love to go to an event. That's what I'm going to arrange. We have a Facebook page now, which is called the Sunday Service Community. You can check it out on Facebook. Join us. I'm going to arrange an event where we can all meet up. Don't go crazy at it. Not looking for, if you're an idiot doing donuts or burnouts or something, forget about it. No interest. The only thing I'm going to do, if you do it on the day, if you come along on the event and you do burnouts and donuts, I'm going to film it and then I'm going to hand it into the local Gardaí. Not easy? No, you won't do it now, yeah. Evidence and all, license plates, the whole lot, faces, whatever's there. I have no problem doing that whatsoever. The reason I want to do the meetup thing is just so people can meet everybody else that they talk to the whole time on Facebook or on YouTube, or meet me, or we go and get a cup of coffee and we really talk about cars. It's great to be surrounded with people who love cars or are interested in cars, or even if you don't have the knowledge, it makes no difference. You just come along and have a chat, bring what you drive, and I'll arrange it as an event on that Facebook page. So join the Facebook thing. We'll put links down below for every video, and I'll put something out on my Instagram or something out my Twitter. You can follow the links from there and try and get into the community. And it's a closed company, so we'd have to approve you entering it. Andy says that was a question not even a good Father B can do that yet. That's true. I can't really answer it yet, but I give you as best as I possibly could of an answer or solution. The trouble is that insurance companies don't want to know about old cars for new startup drivers. Yeah, there's an element of that, all right. There is an element of it. But you will get insurance. My first insurance was £2,500. The car was £100. That put that in perspective for a minute. £2,500 from Quinn Insurance, I think it was called at the time. Became Quinn Direct after a while. It's what my first insurance. My second insurance was half that with the same company. And then my third insurance went down and down and down and down. Now it's gone back up. It's higher now than it was before, but it's nowhere near what it used to be. I had third party only on my first car. So we all have to struggle through it. And I think we all will get through this. It'll take time, but don't lose hope. You will get the car you want. You may not get into a brand new yoke, and you might not get into something that's under 10 years old, but you'll get insurance. If you can't get insurance, email me and we'll see if we can rattle somebody's cage into getting an insurance quote for you. What is your opinion about all 3-cylinder cars, turbo, without, or worth the money? When I start again, what is your opinion about all the 3-cylinder cars, turbo, or without, worth the money? I like a 3-cylinder engine because it is 100% of its power 100% of the time, which I quite like. Fuel economy is not deadly on a 3-cylinder unless you're cruising. Turbo, non-turbo, superchargers, no, all that sort of stuff. It doesn't make a lot of difference these days. They're so reliable. Tech is so good these days. It's just an incredible thing. I'd like to see maybe them not be missold. But the problem is people go, oh, they're very economical, they're very this, they're not really. They're okay. They're very good in small engined, small cars. So Skoda Citigo, VW Up, Say It Me, the little 1-liter engine they put in a 3-cylinder. It's a lovely thing to drive. There's a good number of other 3-cylinder engines happening out there as well with the big turbos in them. We don't know. 4 or 5 years' time, we know when they're all in bits and a huge recall has been done and there's pistons coming out over the ground. Then we know there's something wrong with them. But right now, we don't know if there's something wrong with them because it's not around long enough. But they are worth the kind of money people are paying for them. They're usually considered a fairly cheap engine. So, yeah, it can be done. They're very lightweight. Very lightweight. I picked up an engine block belonged to one time. You walk around with it in your arm. Have you seen the new Bugatti? Is there a newer one than the new Veyron one? I don't really keep up with that. Hyper end of the car market is kind of like, yeah, well, that's just for rich guys from Saudi Arabia. I know I seem very down on that, but realistically, the chances of I think we one Bugatti registered in Ireland. Maybe there's 2. One Veyron anyway, and he's pretty generous with it when it goes around. But I've driven a Veyron. It is like driving an Audi. Sorry, Bugatti, but it is like driving an Audi R8, only heavier, like that. Merc 1 is in Stuttgart. It's massive and has trucks and buses a lot in there. That's the one in Stuttgart. Mercedes Museum in Stuttgart, very good. Taiwan is half the size of Ireland. Yeah, and what's that mean? CD Models is here. Hey, Bob, got in my insurance renewal quote. Good Lord, it's gone expensive. Insurance has gone up, unfortunately. Again, lads, it's going up, it's going down, it's variable, it's all over the place. Take the time, make the phone call, start phoning each insurance company to go and request the reason why it's gone up. Most people don't ask, just go, oh my God, my insurance gone up, I'll have to change insurance companies. Ring them and go, why is my insurance gone up? And they go, well, all insurance has gone up. Well, prove all insurance has gone up because everybody on the news says insurance has not gone up, it's going down. So how are you going up? And then shop around. Literally go from place to place and shop them all over the place. Just so everyone knows, I do. I'm on what do you call it, Facebook, because I run the Sunday Service Joke. I don't really do, communications with people on Facebook. I hate the bleeding place actually, but sometimes it comes down. Gavin O'Brien is looking to get into our group there. We are on Facebook on the Sunday Service Community Facebook. So if you want to join us, join away if you're on the Facebook thing. Communicate and chat, and lads have had great chats there without me interfering at all. But I am there as well. I'm in the Facebook group, but you can send me messages. You can also support this channel in any way you possibly can. There are links down below for PayPal and Patreon, and of course there's Super Chat right here as well on YouTube if you want to use that. It will all go into the great big pool of money that keeps this thing going as much as possible. It's really hard these days to keep the thing going, but we are keep going. We'll see what we can do and keep on running and make our videos and do everything else without getting the car and company's money, which is most important because then you can't be nasty about their cars. And sometimes I'm nasty about cars. My 2 are due on the same date next month too. Got some quotes this morning, 56% up annoyingly. One will have to go, I fear. Yeah, that's the problem, unfortunately, is something that has to give straight away as soon as insurance starts to go up, because insurance is a mandatory thing for people to have. You have to have insurance, but yet we can't have choice. So we'll see if the insurance companies, the European investigation is going on about the monopoly Ireland has over insurance in this country. So there is an investigation. The results of that should be published shortly. I don't know when it's coming out. That may change things here. It may open the market here that will allow European companies to come in and start insuring us here without having to have an office here, and being able to get access to the insurance book, which is the hardest thing for all of them to do, is to get access to that insurance book. Sean O'Neill but says Haynes manual the most useful tool. It is until you need a spanner, then it's not a very good spanner. When is the Leon due its next service, and will it become a how-to vid? It's been due a service now for a good 4 or 5 months. I'll eventually get around the service and thing. I don't know. I'll see if I can do it. Yeah, maybe. I need a garage though. I need a lit place. Like my garage outside isn't lit up in any way, shape, or form. I just get on with it. To film a service would be a different thing. I'd have to go to someone's garage. I'd go to a garage that has lighting or something in it. I'll figure it out. Leave that with me. You never know. Where Jim has a VRS, nice, sorry, yeah, I like them. Challenge Pack Edition. RS. Skoda RS? Challenge Pack Edition? That's good. Johnny, what do you think the Hyundai with the i30N performance has made a better hot hatch than the VW got? A lot of the reviews seem to think so. Well, you know, that's where reviews go. They all look at each other and they all go, oh, wow, the Hyundai is the best thing ever. It's better than the VW Golf. The Golf is actually 4 or 5 years old. The GTI is now 4. Well, I did the launch of the Volkswagen Golf 7 in Sardinia. It's got to be 4 years ago. We're on Golf 7.5. So there'll be a Golf 8 along soon, probably next year. And I would suggest if they do it right, the GTI version, that will obliterate the Hyundai i30 again. Hyundai did a really good job with the i30N. Really, really good job. It works. I'd still have a Golf GTI first. Just me, maybe. I prefer the looks. It's a nice car. It's a lovely car. The Hyundai is a lovely thing. It's really fast and all that, but I don't know. There's a Golf GTI. You drive home and you're just in a Golf. You're in traffic, you put it in D, you're just in a Golf. And then when someone pulls up beside you at a traffic light, you're not in a Golf anymore, you're in a GTI Golf. And it's just gone. And it's a lovely thing to go. It's very safe, very secure, high speed, just feels good. It feels good. It feels stable and good in all situations. The Hyundai is good at high speeds and is really good around a track and stuff. But as a day-to-day driver, it's a bit stiff. But it's good. They're both good for different reasons. But I very rarely agree with the reviews of most people out there. So that's just my own opinion. I had a great debate the other night with a couple of English journalists about their reviews and why they were so tough and harsh on Fiat and Jeep and stuff, and why they're so easy going on Volkswagen. And, you know, there's a lot goes on with it. Anyway, Damien says, hi Bob, waiting for the new A6, which is supposed to come out in the summer and is now delayed until November. That's because of WLTP. Heard a lot of VAG cars are being delayed. What do you think? Is something happened with that? Yes, that's exactly, just at the end of stuff. That's exactly what has to happen. WLTP will reclassify their prices. They can defer some of that, but it will really require a lot of thought on behalf of the government in their budget this year, because if I would suggest within 3 years, if you just introduce WLTP right now on the cars we have today and you just didn't make any adjustments, no deferrals, no nothing, within 3 years' time, the price of a car would have risen by 22 to 25%. Which is a big difference, big difference in the price of a car. And that's what WLTP as it is right now. So A6 is pulled back. It's like, well, hold up a second. If we don't get this right, this car is going to turn out to be really expensive. Plus, you have some cars that are deferring the price, so it will make an E-Class look cheap if you brought out a new A6 tomorrow under WLTP, because it's different. It's running a different system. So there's a lot to it. So hang on. They'll sort it out, but it won't be sorted out until 2019, I don't think, or at least until after the budget is done. So hold out for the new A6. Looks good, though, doesn't it? Well, I've seen it. I've seen the physical one as well. I wasn't supposed to, but I was up taking some press shots the other day for the Irish Car of the Year, which is this November, I think. And the chairman of one of the groups that looks after them, also on the board that runs the whole Irish Car of the Year thing. So I was doing some press shots, and I was in one of the big yards up there that has cars in it, and there was a brand new A6 standing there. But I have to look at this. I wasn't allowed into it though, but it was there. Bob is right about not driving a bus, watching the Sunday service. I'm off today. See, thought you James Dunn. He's a bus driver, but he's not actually driving a bus while watching the Sunday service. But he is here. Lee Morgan, thanks, Bob, for adding me to your Facebook. Boob, you call me, but well done. For adding your Facebook group. No problem, Liam. That happens all the time. I do that myself in signatures. I type the O twice. Mark Albert, sorry. Classic Land Rover Series 3. Buy it now. Not ready for one. Worried about pricing going up. What do you think? Like the Defender, but all seems to be diesel. Defender's tiny. I don't like driving the Defender. I love them. They're the coolest car in the world to look at. But to drive, you have to open the window to put your elbow out because there's nowhere to put your elbow. What do you do with it? How did that become such a classic car? But anyway, if you're buying a classic Land Rover Series 3, buy it now. Don't worry about it going up. It's going to rise in price, but you're going to have to hold on to it. You're definitely going to have to mind the thing. The more unusual it is, the better. Long wheelbase, short wheelbase, big roof rack, safari version, or whatever it is. All those kind of odd ones are really good, really collectible. But if you can buy a bog-o standard one that comes long wheelbase with the bench seats in the back down either side, and one preferably with a history, something that's been used by an electric company or something that's been used off-road in a massive sense, you're going to get more money for it. But they're going to be expensive. They're definitely not going to go down in price anytime soon. It will continue to rise, Mark, for the next foreseeable future. Land Rovers are highly desirable collector's items. I'm not sure why, just they have a cool tag to go with them. Try and find one as unmolested as you possibly can, but possibly has a history. They always go down a little bit better than the rest of them. Bob, are SUVs and crossovers more popular in Ireland and UK as company cars for sales reps and managers than standard cars? No. Generally speaking, it's still kind of saloon and estate that hangs out as the ones being on the company car list. Because they're just more practical and they're usually better fuel economy as well. Although it has moved towards crossovers now for not sales reps. People who aren't driving gigantic miles are getting SUV ones and getting it there. So it's a bit of a balance between the two, but generally speaking, it's still sort of the standard car that does better here for company cars. Is NCT different for electric cars? Thanks. I don't think so. But obviously they can't test the revs of a car, to rev it up. But the mechanical bits underneath are still the same. So you still have shock absorbers, brake pads, brake discs, linkages, struts, arms, all the usual stuff that goes underneath. So all that has to be tested. So the NCT will be different in the fact they can't test emissions. There isn't a tailpipe to test, and they won't be able to test the revs. But the mechanical bits underneath, the braking systems, the handbrakes, they're all going to be exactly the same. So that's totally testable. But the rest of it, no. You can't test that. So that's would be the only major difference in that it'd be called for its NCT as normal, but it'll only test the mechanical stuff. Sadly, in NI, MOTs are different to GB and only done at regional government test centres. Don't get the same Kevin Webster search out as such. Oh, I didn't know that about Northern Ireland. I thought it was the same as the UK. In the UK, you go to an NCT or an MOT centre, which could be a local garage, and just drive in and give him your car, and he takes it over, he fixes whatever needs to be fixed, and hands it back to you. That's the end of it. There's your MOT done. Or you could give the guy 50 quid and just have your MOT done in one shot. That went on here as well. NCT don't talk about that. But there was cases recently in the last few years where you could, check the dashboard there and it'd be 50 quid in the dashboard. Anton Sturman, how is it possible that the best-selling car in Sweden is a Volvo V90? It costs 15 average Swedish salaries. No idea. I know Sweden, the Swedish salary is quite high. I know they do very well for themselves as a country of people financially. And I know Volvo is also in their own country. It's made there. It's made by those people. So it might be a little bit not such a big jump as you think it is. GB has MOT annually from 3 years old. NI the same, but from 4 years old. £30 and 50 pence set price though. God, the price of them. Invite local guards to meet to bring what they drive to free security. Yeah, they are invited. And to be honest with you, there's no joke. Quite a number of guards follow me on Instagram quietly, and we do have little conversations here and there about guardy things. And I know a lot of you guys, not a lot of you guys here necessarily right now, but I know a lot of viewers here on YouTube are Gardaí as well. I have great time for our local Gardaí. I love the guys. They do great work out there. They work for us 24 hours a day. We expect them to come at the drop of a hat. We dial 999 and they arrive and they sort things out for us and stuff. So I have great time for them. I think they're totally under-respected group of individuals out there that are always tarred with the same brush. They got one big dude that people don't like and everyone's tired of the same thing. My interactions with Gardaí has always been 100% positive. They've always come across being really nice guys, even when they've stopped me in the middle of the night driving some high-powered Merc. And they're asking about my tax insurance. And the first words are, "Is this your car, sir?" And you go, "No." I've never had any problem. So the Gardaí obviously are 100% welcome at any meet that we ever have in the near future. Sweden changed the side of the road they drove on in the 60s. One of the safest days on the road is when they changed. Everyone took it real handy. That's all you got to do. It's not hard to change the side of the road. It is a little bit harder, although our motorways in Southern Ireland are actually built to drive in either side in either direction. They're mirror images of themselves. So you can switch the side of the road in Ireland and nothing would change. There would be no effect whatsoever. You'd still just exit on a different side. But if you were to change the side of the car you all drive on and the side of the road you all drive on, you'd have it all sorted in a blink of an eye. So you'd have to do it a little bit coaxy though. You have to tell people it happens and how to do it, and then just drive. Everywhere would have to be 50 kilometers an hour zone in case you go head on into someone else coming the other direction. But it is possible. I'm not saying it's a definite outcome, but I'm saying it's something to throw into the hat that we don't always have to take our cars in from the UK. We can take our cars in from Germany. It would just make it a lot easier if we change the side of the road and stop following a country that wants to get away from us. That's what's happening right now. Is the UK basically wants to leave us, leave Europe, and we're Europe. We need to stop behaving like the UK and going, "Oh, if the UK left, oh, it's terrible." Well, you know what? They're leaving. So let's just leave it at that. Let's just make it a friendly, simple, straightforward divorce, and we'll all go and we'll take our cars with us. Thanks very much. I don't know what that is. Adrian, I can't wait for the next video with you and Sinead McCann. Make it happen, Bob. The clip with the Yeti was brilliant. Thanks. God, glad you like. Sinead is working very hard. She's away this weekend, I think. But she's working very hard up in Cars Ireland. We are trying to find time and a car and a thing to do. I'm also looking at doing a little video with Sinead McCann won't like this, but with Carzone, their competition. Asked me to do a video as well. So I'm going to talk to Carl over in Carzone, who also makes videos, and we're going to see if we do something there. But Sinead is on. We're going to do something before Christmas for sure. We're going to do something, maybe used cars. We might do something on used cars, a bit of crack. So that'll be fun. We get on like a house of fire, to be honest with you. It'd be good crack. But it's just finding the time to fit it in the two YouTube channels. You have to give over a whole day to filming like that. Plus, the amount of times that we end up laughing at what's going on is that's what happens straight away. We all start laughing and then it turns into chaos. What's your opinion on a 2002 Mercedes C200 compressor? Isn't that the best name? Whatever happened to that name? Compressor. It always looks so impressive on the back of a car. C200 is very good. Just don't buy the two-door one because that's ugly as sin. But the C200 itself is actually okay. Compressor is like supercharger or something. It means in turbo or supercharger. I think it's supercharger. It means in Germany. They're a lovely car. They're a little bit tight in the boot, but they're very, very nice. Buy the automatic. C200's okay. Engine is reliable enough. Will run on anything that you throw at it, even dirty diesel. It'll run fine. Watch out for it. Eats brake pads. Front tires tend to get they're fairly harsh on that sort of thing as well. Some electrical problems, if I remember correctly, some of the headlight issues as well. There was some headlight adjustment thing that wouldn't work on them. So there's a couple of little bits to look out for, but other than that, it'd be 100% free most of the time. And it's a cool name, 2002 Mercedes C200 compressor. Any thoughts on the older Land Rover Defender as a weekend runabout? Yeah, they're quite nice. As a weekendy car, I'd go with that. I'd have no problem with that. Because if you're driving it every day, you're going to have something wrong with your right arm like that. And the heater doesn't work very well on them either. And the steering is huge, like driving a bus. But they're a nice car to look at if you can find the right one. If you're looking for a weekend one and you don't have kids, buy the short wheelbase, weird looking, has a tendency to flip itself over. But if you have, if you can find one that is the kind of standard with off-road tires and a winch in the front and things, you're going to make money on that. You know, when you get that sort of thing on it, it starts to look really good straight away. Days team. Hi from Daniel in Germany. Any plans to do more RVs? I've always got plans to do RVs. The problem is that there's not many RVs in Ireland to do. So I'd have to go somewhere that has RVs so I can do them. The only ones that would be here would be used, like secondhand ones or imported ones from various parts of the world. That'd just be for sale at various events, but they don't like giving them out for very long. So you don't really get a good test of the van in like 2 hours. You kind of have to have it for 3 or 4 days. So it's a little bit harder to get the RV version of. We don't have a big culture of it here. It's coming, but most of them are imports, and that would be the biggest problem. We don't have that culture like they have in the UK, for instance, where there's a culture of caravans, camper vans, and so on. Sean O'Neillbud says Volvo deja vu. I think we have talked about Volvo before, haven't we? Edward Brian Davis. Not all of us in the UK want to leave. An awful lot are desperate to stay. More of you should have come out and voted to stay then, shouldn't you? I know it's very close, very tight. It seems from the outside looking at Brexit that everybody wants to stay in, and that your leader, Theresa May, wants to get out. Is the only one that wants to get out. That's the way it seems from the outside, weirdly like that. But yet there isn't a second vote being called, not a second referendum being called. Nothing's happening. There's no reason to move it forward. I don't know why that is. I'd like to, like another referendum, I think would be a landslide for stay. I think your leaders, your politicians should be held much more accountable for the lies, blatant, 100% lies that they told in the run-up to the Brexit thing that has you where you are. And that seems to be forgotten about again. Even your media has seemed to have forgotten about it. You know, that Boris Johnson and that other guy that smokes 65s a day, whatever his name is, posh guy, they put a bus with that numbered on the side of it. No, it's 350 million quid being sent out to the NHS. None of that was true. It was all lies. So I don't understand why you're not holding them more to account, that you're not trying to get where you want to get. Because right now, we're going through a great period of stability and niceness, and everything's going well. We're all doing business with the UK. But by next May, like June, between now and May or thereabouts, March, April, May, God knows what's going to happen. Who knows what's in the future? That's not getting depressed. We just find some other way of doing things. It's just a way of looking at it going, don't know what they're going to do. They're going to have to do something, but don't know what that is. Shane Houston says, hi, Bob. What's your thoughts on the Seat Tarraco? Nice looking car, isn't it? I was supposed to go to that reveal in Barcelona. Was it in Barcelona? I mean, wherever it was. I was supposed to go to that, but I couldn't because I was going to the Audi thing, which is the next day. And I just couldn't take another day, like 4 days, to go to the two events. I could have flown to both, but I couldn't end up just going to the Audi one. But it looks good. It really does. A very pretty car. Seat do a good job at these kind of things. Hopefully their interiors reflect this good job, because often what happens is Seat create a good looking car, Volkswagen appear and go, no, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that interior, you can't do that dash. And all of a sudden it's a bit cheaper looking. That's what they do a lot. But it does look like Seat are going in the right direction with the look of that car. Hopefully in the future they'll keep pushing hard as well to get where they want to go. Adrian Grover, afternoon Bob from sunny Sussex. All of all the cars you have driven in the last couple of years, which gave you the most driving pleasure? Audi RS3, number one, I would say straight off as driving pleasure. Just scratched all of my itches in one shot, without a doubt. Although some people give out to me going, it's not a true performance car. I don't really care. I was able to put the two kids in the back. The wife was comfortable in the front. There was a boot full of stuff in it constantly that I could fit even more in by blipping down the seats and doing all that sort of stuff. Looked amazing. Stopped traffic wherever it goes. And crucially, I could go out and basically be the fastest thing on a road at all times. A very close second to that was the Audi RS4 Estate, which just dropped back. And unfortunately, before he even started to me, I was looking through the footage of RS4 and I've lost a Ganzi load of the thing. The SD card seemed to just only record some things, not all things. So something's gone wrong there. I'll investigate further, maybe get more out of that. But definitely RS3 was first in the last couple of years. Mercedes E-Class was another car that I would like to own, but only because it just does everything. It's just a normal car that does absolutely everything. It was very comfortable, very serene sort of a driving car. Not for performance, for sure. Just wasn't designed to do that, but it's still a nice car to drive. And there's a couple of others out there that not spring into mind, but I would still put the RS3 up there along with what else is exciting. Golf GTI, yeah, that was really good. Kind of like that too. I seem to be stuck on Liffey Valley a little bit here while I'm talking about Volkswagen Group in general, because they do make some really good cars. Peugeot 3008, that was a really good car. Enjoyed that too. Just as ordinary cars, I mean. Mike C says Brexit is highly popular in the UK. Politics aren't so keen. It isn't about hating the EU. It's about wanting to control our own borders, laws, etc. Many who don't support it, but the majority do. You see, there we have a problem because you already control your own borders 100% of the time. I know. I have traveled through the UK multiple times. I know how hard you control your borders. I can't even pass through the UK to another EU country. So if my flight terminates in Germany and I have to transit through Heathrow, I have to enter your country, show my passport, get biometrically scanned, go through security, and then come back out to go onto the European country. So I'm telling you, 100% of the time, you already control your borders and you haven't Brexited. So what's Brexit going to bring you? Other than you can build a wall or something around you, which you can do anyway. You're already not even in properly the EU because you don't even use our currency or anything. So that's already there. That's not controlling your borders. Can't be an issue if you already do it. So don't get where that goes. It doesn't work. Look at it logically. I'm not talking about trying to do this passionately or dispassionately. Just tell you right now, your borders are already yours, just like Ireland's is. But unfortunately, right now, this minute, people fly into Dublin from the EU and then they go up to Northern Ireland and go in through Scotland back down to England anyway. So you mean to build a wall between us and Northern Ireland. Anyway, right, moving on. Powell says, I don't see really the message of SEAT. Good sales in Spain, but very poor in every other country. Why VW still keeps the brand in the group? They have really good sales in Spain. Do you know how big Spain is? Do you know how many sales there are in Spain? What their kind of market share is down there? There's no way you get rid of SEAT. They sell a lot of stuff down there. But they also do well in other territories. Then they do development stuff as well, and they're quite good at the Cooper brand, which is now separate from the SEAT brand. They do a fair bit of stuff here and there. They've done well over the years, and it's a great place where Volkswagen can put bits into other cars. So the stuff that they're not using, the stuff that's finished on the lines, like the old engines. Remember the old A4 became the SEAT, whatever it was called. So there's always an element of that they put it away and that end and stuff as well. Johnny says, a friend whom voted out asked why, and I was amazed. She said it was due to immigration and asked, but where you're from? She said in England. Okay, then what your parents said from India. Yeah, I know. Well, that's unfortunate the way people think. They come into a country, they feel ownership to the country, and they don't want to let anybody else into the country, and suddenly they do. Yeah, it happens here in Ireland as well, same sort of thing. Unfortunately, Lucy Damarelso says she loves my accent, which is great. Please say hi. Hi. Thank you very much. You can stop spamming the channel now. I'm going to ban you. Thanks very much for coming along. Make sure you subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, if 52 of you still watching, this has been the busiest day on the Sunday service for some time. I think it probably comes from setting up the Sunday service before we actually got here. It's been absolutely brilliant, though. Don't forget, we have our Facebook group, which is the Sunday Service community on Facebook. If you want to come in there, I'm going to be arranging a meet event for all you car heads to come along to, and we'll put it in there. I will publish it here, of course, as well. Not everybody likes Facebook. I hate Facebook. I hate the place. I think it's a horrible hole. The normal stream of things going up on the screen is absolutely dreadful. But our little group, which is a closed group, so it only contains people who are nice, who can get on together and not kill each other. Well, if you want to kill each other, you can, but just don't do it on my time. Hopefully you'll be able to join some of us there between the two Sunday services. I will, of course, return next Sunday at 2 p.m. right here, live streaming on this channel, so you can join me for that. If you can find a way to support this channel in any way you possibly can, whether it be a car for review, whether it be money straight into a PayPal account or into Super Chat or into wherever you want to put it, it's fine. They're all okay. Anything you can do to support the channel and keep it free is always good. Car companies do not pay to be on the channel here. They just supply the cars. That's all they do. Would it be stupid to spend all my money on a 2012 Mondeo Titanium Export? All of your money? Yes. To buy a Titanium Mondeo Export No, they're actually not a bad car. They're okay. I like Mondeo. Always kind of have. Always had a soft spot for some reason. Export, I could do without that, but they're a nice old car though. That's true, Andy. I was looking at myself. I left it alone as well because it is nice spam. It's not like, something really nasty. It's just nice spam. She just likes the accent, which is okay. That happens a lot. Irish people's accents are liked worldwide. That's why we're always good ambassadors and things. Ivan says, I think it's more about whether you're a net contributor to the EU or a net beneficiary. Ireland get more money out of Europe than the UK in monetary terms. Incorrect, Ivan. I seem to be saying the same things most of the time. If you look proportionally speaking, the economy the EU has is far greater and the need for EU money is far less in comparison to a country where you have 70 odd million amount of people. We have 4.5 million people. So that's why the tax take in Ireland is very different, but our needs are the same. We still have to build roads. We still have to put in infrastructure just the same as the UK does. We just have to do it for less people. But the net beneficiary of being in Europe is being able to sell your products that you make in your home country to a greater amount of people. That is why Ireland is a part of the EU. England, is our biggest customer, and we are your biggest customer. So work that one out. Your biggest customer by far is the Republic of Ireland. So you're benefiting from us as well. So remember that. Johnny, I really have proof the need of my messages after only I hit send did I realize I buggered up. That's grand, John. Don't worry, everybody does that. Everybody does that. There's so many messages. Don't ask me to write stuff. I can sit here talking all day long, but if I have to write something down, I have to reread it. I need a spell checker at all occasions. Yeah, you can remove your own comment and repost it and click on 3 dots at the side and select remove on a PC. Correct, Amundo, you can. Is there any point to the polling now? It's gotten so big. Yeah, because people want a bigger message. That's pretty straightforward. They just want a bigger message, bigger car. They want more room in the car to move around. So that's pretty much it. On a mobile device, press and hold over your comment and remove option should pop up. That's good advice. Why is Ireland richer than the UK? I don't get it. UK once an empire owning half the world, and now they're poorer than Ireland. They're not poor. It's the way you look at it. It's the way it's measured. It's not about poor. GDP, gross domestic product, is a way of measuring how things work. So if a country makes a certain amount of physical products and exports that money that comes in from the exports is measured as part of GDP. So it's a weird way of looking at things because it takes out the proportions of the size of things. So instead of us looking at a 70 million population versus a 4.5 million population, you look at exports as part of that population. So it works out a different way. We export a majority of our products go into the UK. The majority of UK to Ireland, right? This is the problem. This is why there's the Irish problem for Brexit, right? So you build a wall and you stop exporting to Ireland. Now, where does those exports go if they're not going to Ireland, right? And where does our exports go if they're not going to the UK? It's very hard to figure out which one is going to work out where. And it seems that the politicians that have been employed to get England through the Brexit negotiations are no wiser than the ordinary people on the street. They don't know what's going to happen either. No one does so far. We just have to live through it, and we'll have a story for our grandkids and grandparents and everything else. Anyway, right, look, that is the end of the Sunday service this week. Thank you very much for your support on all the channels, all of the weeks that have passed by over the last while. Hopefully you will continue your support on Patreon, PayPal, or right here on Super Chat on YouTube. Whatever happens, as long as you're subscribed, is always good. We broke the 30,000 subscribers. I'd love to break the 40,000 subscribers within the next couple of months. It'd be lovely to have that there as well. I'm really delighted that you came along. I'm sorry, Istad, that you just dropped in 2 hours into the podcast or into the cast itself, and now you got a question. It's too late. Go over to our beautiful, shiny new Facebook page where you can find the Sunday Service community there. You can ask your question there, and we'll try and get an answer for you there just quick, because the same people that are there are here, the same people are here, are there. We're all a lovely community, and hopefully we will have a lovely meet-up in a few weeks' time actual meetup. I'll arrange a date. I'll put a date in the calendar once I get permission for a car park for us all to go to. That we can have a bit of cracking and see all our lovely cars and bring all our stuff together. I won't leave it too long because the weather's changing. We'll try and get done before the hour changes, which would be really good. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's live stream. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you click all the links down below and check out how you can support this channel any way you can. But until the next time, I will see you on the far side.